Hi, it's Rachael Yamagata. Let's chat. Well, for this record, I went into it with vulnerable, raw grit. Like, those were my three words that, for me, colored the beginning stages of the experience. And I wanted a much more in-the-moment backdrop of music and sounds that we kept on made the mics pick up the storms, or people talking in the background, or something fell, or, there's birds. Like, I wanted all of those things in there because we were in this amazing, 40-foot ceiling epic studio on top of this mountain in upstate New York, and, panoramic views and lots of fog and spring. And the setting was so perfect and kind of haunted and mysterious that I wanted, especially the first half, Elephants, to feel like a secret. There's stuff going around and it's kind of creepy, but you're still getting these real intimate lyrics, like someone's whispering in your ear. And I wanted that to be raw, but still lush and beautiful, just to draw you in. I wanted that because I didn't want clean, slick pop radio. I didn't want any of those goals because that pushes you further and further away. It is a great thing in itself, but not for me, not for this record. And then for the, guitar-driven sounds, the second half of the record, I've never really done guitar rock on record. We've touched on it live, and I love it. I love the kind of potential of these epic guitar solos and kind of the passion and the energy that it brings to a crowd, which is very different from like a hushed ballad, So I knew if I were going to do that on record, I wanted to make it my own. And so we spent a lot of time, trial and error with the production side, making the guitars gritty and sound, different, and mixing it like we used a lot of Tom Waits clanking percussion, very tangible, like stomping and clapping, and would run guitars through harmonica mics to get it sounding very metallic, and just wanted it scruffy and gritty because the lyrics are so gritty, I wanted to match it. So that's another like raw element that I think we were chasing and wanted to have. And it was more like a film score for Elephants that really, I didn't pay any attention to how am I going to pull this off. It was more like, sounds and melodies and what instrument would serve this melody, and making it like a book, and just, it was a very different experience than what I wasn't even picturing it live. I had to distance myself to a certain extent. I'd have listens every 2 months, and I'd check in. I'd be like, what do I think about this? And then there were days where I could not listen to it again, like, get it away from me. I hate it. We should just scrap it. But most of the time, I would trust when I'd just be like, let me hear it again. And I'd put on my headphones. I'd have one great listen where I was like, wow. And then I'd make myself not listen to it for another however month, because I knew I would get sick of it, and I didn't want to make changes. And I wanted the energy to be fresh off of, this is where I was when I made it. Because I knew if I started messing with it, then it just gets more stale and you lose your objectivity, and I wouldn't have trusted myself 2 years later to start changing things around. So I don't think I'm going to spend a lot of time between now and the next record. I do want to kind of keep things moving for me, and I haven't felt like I've really been writing for the past 2 years. So I wrote so much for this record and then had a bit of a standstill. So, but I'm okay for now. I'm still sane. I was worried though, because things get old very quickly. I am itching to write again, but I also don't want to force it. I think artistically for me, I needed to feel like these songs got their birthing period, quotes, got their chance to kind of get out there before I would even really open myself up to writing again. So in that way, I still feel like I'm in a pretty solid place. I'm not bored of touring this record because I'm thinking about new songs. I'm not there yet. I'm okay, I'm touring, I'm traveling again finally after 2 years. I'm finally coming alive, and I'm still a little bewildered looking around like, oh, right, this is what it was like. And haven't been hit with any like, I need to write that. But I'm getting little, twinklings of ideas. I think just because I'm not sitting in an apartment somewhere going, remember when I used to tour and make music, and I'm finally back in the game again. I don't know, actually. I'm not sure, because I've done a lot of heartbreak songs. I've done a lot of like human relationship songs, and I've twisted them around and looked at them from several angles. And even I am like, is there another angle to look at this? Like, those are the themes I'm really drawn to, and I don't want to force it. So I'm a little like, I wonder what this next record will be about. I didn't, production-wise, things changed a lot for me on this record in a way I couldn't have predicted when I was doing the first record, talking about what would my next record be like. So I'm kind of in that same state here of like, slightly freaked out, because I would never want to be repetitive in the songwriting, and almost like, God, I've written a lot of songs that I think approach these issues from a different angle. Are there still things out there that I have yet to discover? So I don't know if that means I'm going to bridge into different themes, or I feel like that's my forte. I mean, I feel like it's so interesting to me that I'm always like, I love the detective work of human motivations and that kind of thing. So because it interests me so much, the writing part is very natural. So I don't want to force anything. I don't feel like that's the only thing I could write about. When I've tried to write other things, whether it's, happy songs or goofy songs or, abstract performance art pieces or political statements, whatever they are, none of them have felt as real to me as the heartbreak material, which is funny, because I'm always, I'm not always writing about the right thing to do or the person who's figured it out. I'm just writing from the point of view of look at how I've messed up as well, or how this situation is crazy. But I think because I can somewhat articulate and maybe latch on to the relevant emotions in each situation, and put them in a language versus just sitting there befuddled with it, I draw onto that and look at it as clarity and maybe wisdom. And I'm not sure it's wisdom so much as I'm a great scribe for, romantic things. Like, maybe I've had a lot of perspectives or experience that gives me at least an experienced or educated take on them, but I still wouldn't say that I'd figured them out at all. So, but I do run into people who I think, whether they think I figured it out and want answers, they at least want to, say they connect with it as well, and they went through the same thing, and which is always, great. It's awesome. It's nice to feel like you're, my own self-introspective wallowing at times, is actually maybe providing a nice release for other people. So